endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive.
Great. So thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and that's my current mission in life to interview 1,000 digital nomads or midlife recalibrators on where they're going and what's happening and their story. So we have a very special guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you've come from and where you're going?
Yeah. So hi, I'm Jacqueline Pereira, and honestly, movement has been like such a big part of who I am. I have spent my life across countries and cultures. So I'm Indian and I grew up in India, but I moved to the Middle East in Dubai when I was around 10. And I spent most of my formative years in
On your
Dubai.
own? By yourself?
Oh, no. But my folks moved to Dubai, and so I spent a lot of my childhood and my early university in Dubai. And then I met my husband, and he was in the US, so I moved to the US about I think about a decade ago. Spent about 7 to 8 years in the US across different states. And over a year ago, we moved to Germany. So I am now currently based in Mannheim, Germany.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So it sounds like so you were always interested in travel when you were a kid?
No, like again, growing up middle class travel, it was more of a luxury. So our travel usually involved going back home to meet
Hmm.
family. And that was, it's with two kids and saving up for the flight ticket alone and going back to India. So summer vacation, when we could travel, it was visiting family back home. So I started traveling when I was 18. My first trip right after high school, I graduated high school, I'd done really, really well. And so I told my mom, I really want to go on a school trip. And that's the first time I went on a school trip, but it was kind of being independent.
Hmm.
And that got me hooked. And so since then, I've just been, even before I could make money, I was like, okay, I told my mom I would pay you back. Just let me go on this one additional trip. So those first few college years, I tried to go on a few trips, and I did pay her back once I started working. So, and since
I
then, yeah,
promise
I've
you
tried
I'll
to
pay you
do.
back, even though I'm
Yep, yep.
back. So where did you end up going on those trips?
The first one was Malaysia, which was a school trip. And then after that, I went to London for like a study abroad weekend. Not really a whole semester, but a weekend, which was
You
great.
you
And
went
then I
to
went,
London for just a weekend?
I spent a couple of days extra with another friend. But yes, it was a study abroad weekend because I did my bachelor's at the University of London, which had this international program for folks who aren't able to, come to London and study there.
Hmm.
So I did it in Dubai, and yeah, and then I went back to London for my graduation, which was I think it was Princess Anne who presided over it. So we had to
Wow,
curtsy
nice. Did you
in
did
front
you
of
get to shake
her.
her hand? That's
No,
so cool.
that's yeah. We weren't allowed to shake hand, but I did get to curtsy in front of
Oh,
her when I
oh,
got
very
my diploma.
nice.
So yeah,
Very nice. Wow.
yeah. So those were my first few trips, and since then, yeah. So far, it's been I think 35 countries so far, 33, 34 countries.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, how do you know
yeah.
how do you decide where you're going to go? I mean, do you have a list in your mind of where you want to go, or do you just take it as it comes?
Uh, it's usually we've been talking about it. Sometimes it's where's the cheapest place to go, what's the cheapest flight I can get that, gets me out of where I am right now.
Right.
So my husband travels a lot for work. So the last few years, revolved around where he's going for work because
Hmm.
that's like financially, I don't have to pay for a hotel. It's just one flight ticket. So we've usually planned our trips around that. So if he's spending a couple of weeks in Europe, then we'll try and take an additional week of vacation and go somewhere. And then I get to spend those few weeks solo. So I've done a lot of countries, through his work trips.
See, that's really smart because I mean, that's the best way to. And if does he go to all over the world, or does he go
He,
to go to certain places, or?
he can, so he can kind of sometimes even plan trips around those. So if we're like thinking about a place, I'll try just subconsciously putting the place in his mind. So when he does think about where he needs to travel, he can maybe let's do Asia. Do you have some work that could possibly
Yeah, he
happen
said,
in
I think I
Asia?
can
So
sign myself up for that,
yeah,
in case so I can for
yes.
planning on going somewhere. Yeah, actually, I think that's a whole new type of travel I've heard in the industry. It's called bleisure.
Oh, okay. I've not
It's
heard of that, but
it's when people tack days on at either end of a business trip. So you have a business trip, and then you take 2 or 3 days ahead of time, or 2 or 3 days at the end to put your leisure in on the same trip. So that way, you get some of the flights paid for, so the hotel's paid for the a portion
some
of
of
it,
it, yeah, yeah.
and then but you're actually in this other country, and you may as well just take advantage of it
That's
was while you're there, right?
exactly. That's exactly what we do, and I get to do some solo travel when he's working, and so it's mostly leisure for me, but yeah, maybe be leisure for him. So yeah,
Bleisure. So
leisure.
I think that's
Yeah.
what it's called. But so so since you've been to all these different places, what's your favorite? Like, where did you like to go? What was your most favorite place that you went?
It's difficult, but I think so the first like proper one we did, I think I still remember, that was China. It was my second trip to China, so I had already seen all the the big things that you have to see. So I
Right.
just spent the week taking cooking classes and walking through these neighborhoods, and I just wrote about it recently, getting scammed out of a cup of tea, and so it was
At
different,
least it was
but
just a
it
cup of
was.
tea.
I'm glad it was just a cup of tea. It didn't go any further, but yeah, so it was a great trip. And then recently we did Finland, and we like it was such an eye-opening experience to kind of do sauna the Finnish way. Like I'd done sauna before, but actually to do it the way they do it, which is spend 2 hours. And I couldn't, before going there, I couldn't
Two
imagine
hours
what
in
would
the
you do for
sauna.
2 hours in the sauna? But it is like you go in and out and step into the freezing lake or the freezing sea, and it was great. It was very
Oh
different. And
yeah,
I think
because
I
you
was
can't sit in a sauna for too long. I mean, I think
no,
10 minutes is my maximum. And then, so what do they do? So they sit in the sauna for 10 minutes and they go dip in the ocean or the sea and then come back again. So
and
to
they
cool
do that
off.
for like 2 to 3 hours, like, and
Oh
they
my
like
God,
their
that's
sauna
nuts.
hot. They like their sauna really hot, so it's about, I think, 130 degrees. Like it's
Holy
real
crap.
Celsius, but it's
Okay.
really hot. And if they know if it's too crowded, and if it's like a Finnish person, he will try and put a lot more steam in it, because all of the tourists step out because they can't handle the heat. So when it gets too hot,
I know how to get rid of the tourists.
yep. So
Wow, that's nuts. The Finns are crazy.
I don't know. Maybe that's why they're like the happiest country in the world. So
Well, they invented a lot of, like, Nokia came from there,
yeah,
and
yeah.
when Nokia kind of blew up, then everybody who worked at Nokia went off and created all these different startups and technologies and stuff like that. So, they're at the forefront of a lot of cool stuff. The Finns.
Yeah.
Maybe the sauna, like, helps them think or something like that.
It does. It's everywhere. I think every residential building has a sauna. The
Wow.
university has a sauna. The bookstore, like the library, has a sauna. Like every place
Wow. Do they
has.
also have
They
the
have a.
cold they also have cold dip too and the sauna? Like, do those together or just the
So
sauna?
usually it's near a lake, or but again, it's Finland, so it's cold outside. So if there isn't a cold dip, they usually just step
Yeah,
outside,
they just have to step outside for a
cool
minute.
down, and then go back in. There's even a sauna on a Ferris wheel. Like I would not want to do that. Like then you're stuck. You can't really. You have to wait for the entire
Oh, that's
entire
hilarious.
thing to come down. But yeah, it was very interesting.
How did you handle the cold? Because that's the one thing that bugs me. Did you enjoy the cold?
I actually, it's surprising, having grown up in India and the Middle East, which is literally like you're in the desert. I love the cold. I will take the cold any day over like a hot summer's day.
Really?
So Yeah, I cannot handle the heat or humidity, so that gets me cranky. But the cold, I can layer up and I'll be fine. So
That's what they say. You can always add more layers, but if it's too hot, then there's not much
yeah,
you can
yeah.
do about it. Wow. So that's Finland. And then you said China. When you say China, China is funny because people say, "Oh, I'm going to China," but China is massive. So like where
Yeah.
in China did you go?
So this time I was only in Beijing for the work trip, and I actually liked it. I've been to a few other places, not all of it. I still really want to go to Shanghai and that side, but I have done Guilin and Xi'an, like the terracotta warriors and the rice fields
Hmm.
along the Yangtze River. So I've done those, but this trip was just Beijing.
So what would you say was the number one some misconception about China for people who've never been?
Even then, this was in 2019. It was so technologically advanced. Like I was pretty shocked, like at how advanced it was. Everything was automatic. They didn't accept cash. It was all card payments. While yes, you have to use their apps, but even the cab rides, they auto translate. So the driver would type in Chinese, "Are you okay with the AC? Is everything comfortable?" And it would instantly translate. This was before all of the advancements we have now with AI. So it was pretty advanced, and the infrastructure was great. You think, especially maybe coming from India, I have this preconceived notion that it's a populated country, and so it's going to be a little dirty, it will be congested, but
Yeah.
it was pristine. Like even the village is extremely clean. You don't see trash anywhere. Everyone's following the rules.
Wow.
Again, it could be all of the cameras everywhere, but still, like you feel safe. Like
When you're being watched, you tend to behave,
true,
right?
true. And every metro line, like every subway had a cop inside or on the platform. So initially I was trying to be protective of my bag, but after the first couple of rides, I'm like, no one's doing anything. There's a cop right
Yeah.
in the train or off on the platform. So it is very safe in that sense.
It sounds a bit
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Japan. Have you been to Japan as well?
No, it's on my, like, it's really at the top of my list. So no,
Yeah.
not yet. Yeah.
I find Tokyo was definitely like that. It's like a huge city, 40 million people, but it's super clean and like very little, nothing happens, right? So you could be walking around in the middle of the night and not have to concern yourself about for any kind of crime. So I guess it sounds a bit like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I literally that trip I only took public transportation everywhere. I used the subway system, and others are not like speaking to anyone because it's still language is still a barrier. So you have to
Right.
translate or point to what you want. It was great, yeah.
So do you think that they're very open to people coming there and visiting?
I think so. They do obviously have a lot of tourists, but it's challenging for a traditional tourist. Like you do have to mentally be prepared. There's no Google Maps. There's no your
Oh
traditional
yeah, so
forms.
you have to use all the
So
Chinese apps if you want to.
yeah, so and you have to like so you can't. I think even Facebook at that point, Facebook, Instagram, like they were all like banned. You couldn't open it without a VPN. I've heard that now that's changed. Like even VPN doesn't work that
Yeah.
well. So you have to do your research before going in. But otherwise, I think you can, even without tours, there are a lot of tours catered to people, who don't speak Chinese, like, and they are overly priced because they know there's a market for it. But
Hmm.
I think even if you don't go with the tours this time, they have audio guides. You can, navigate with Google Maps and with things like that around the city. So it's easy. It's not as complicated as
So,
you would think.
so you're based in London right now, is that right?
No, Mannheim in Germany.
Oh, in Germany. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
So, how long do you think you're going to be there for? Are you moving on to the next spot, or do you think you'll be there for a while?
We don't know. Like, so this was almost an experiment. Like, so I have always wanted to retire somewhere in Europe. Like, I never imagined myself living in the US and retiring there permanently. So this was a long-term assignment. So my husband had like a chance to do a 2-year assignment. And so we thought it would be a good way to see whether that European lifestyle really,
Hmm.
works for us. And we still have the option of going back. So right now we're in year 2 of our 2-year assignment, and we've extended it by a third year.
Oh, okay.
So
So you must be
honestly,
liking it. Otherwise,
I again, the situation in the US for immigrants like us is not the best, right? So for me, I am happy to stay here for as long as we can. My husband, on the other hand, does like the US. I think he's lived there. He had been there for about 15 years before we moved, so he still misses Ohio, misses the suburban life, and
you miss
misses some
missing
of the
the suburban.
comforts.
I can't believe that somebody misses the suburban life. I'm like, get me out of the suburban life. I mean, who wants to be? So
It makes it soft in a way, right? Like you have everything in Germany. It's still difficult to integrate, mainly because of the language, but there is still that difficulty integrating. So
but I miss the see the thing I like about Europe is that you have these compact cities, you have walkable downtowns, you have places that you can go, you can just walk. Like when you're walking around,
yeah,
you can see things, right? There's like beautiful buildings and there's sculpture and painting and stuff like that. Here, if I walk for a mile, I'm at Target, right? There's nothing here, nothing between
and
here and
even
Target.
that walk would mean crossing. Like in the US, is not built for walking.
Yeah, it's like
So
I have
yeah,
to walk through my neighborhood and then to get to Target. If I walked a mile in Germany, I might be going past all these, um, sculptures from the 1700s, from the 1400s, I'd be walking through history. Here, I feel like I'm just walking through like a industrial park. So
yeah,
it's such a completely different way of living, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, yeah.
so were you able to integrate into the German lifestyle?
Lifestyle, yes. I think community is where the struggle is real, because they aren't the most friendliest of people. Like they're not as coming like in the Midwest, everyone's just so
Yeah,
open. Like when
Americans
we
are very
moved to
friendly.
Ohio,
That is
yeah,
one
and
thing.
when we moved to Ohio, like our neighbors became like, for those 4 or 5 years that we were in the suburbs, like they became our whole like community.
Hmm.
You would hang out with them all the time. They were interested in what you were
Yeah,
doing. So
barbecues, everything.
yeah, yeah. So going from that to here, where no one really talks to each other, even without the language, even if someone spoke English, they don't really care, or they don't really smile. And so when you do smile at them, it seems like it's like New York, right? Like if someone's smiling at you in New York,
You're in
you
trouble.
wouldn't smile. Yeah.
Although,
So
if see, maybe you picked the wrong European country. You need to go to the Mediterranean, like Italy or
yeah,
Greece or Spain or Portugal, because there's a
yeah.
completely different attitude in those countries.
Yeah, I think, and we've been like, while we've been here, we've been visiting a few of the places where we think we would want to retire. So we went to Malta and we really liked it. So we're trying to kind of do some of
Oh,
the
tell me more about
coastal
Malta. I've
places.
always wanted to go. I've always wanted to go to Malta.
It's beautiful, and I think the best part was, and the reason it was on my list was also because it was a British colony, so everyone speaks English, language isn't an issue,
Yeah.
and it's right there, right next to Sicily. And we went just before it got too hot, but I couldn't see myself, again, because I don't like the heat. I couldn't see myself living there in the summers, like because it can get really, really hot.
Ah, so the
And
weather is a problem, but the
the
rest of it is
summers,
beautiful, though,
yeah.
right?
Oh, the country, like it's beautiful. It's almost like you're dropped, like you've time traveled and gone somewhere that's untouched. Like they've like Medina, the city, that it's walking through those, like it's all golden and sandstone, and it's absolutely like beautiful.
Nice.
Uh, and the food's great. Like they have decent nightlife, so it's all like it's a pretty great city. But I also think it's kind of at the tail end. Like there have been so many people. They had this. I think Malta had the citizenship. They were giving the golden visas and the citizenship. So there's so many people who moved there. All of these millionaires. So it is very expensive to
Ah,
buy
yeah,
a
that's a
house.
problem.
Like yeah, we were looking at like, oh, could we like buy a condo or something? But it's extremely expensive to move there, and also for the visa and the citizenship. It's not as easy as it once was.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
is it like overrun with tourists? Like a lot of these places, it's tend to be overrun with tourists. Did you find it that it was like that?
We went at we went in February, so it wasn't
Oh,
like peak tourist time. I
it
tried
wasn't
to
bad.
Yeah, I try to go before, like just in the shoulder seasons when it's not extremely, but it was still fairly busy, but
Hmm.
not unmanageably so. Yeah.
Yeah, because here's what's happening is like when I first started the show, I had a co-host who I did a bunch of shows with, and she's always saying, "Don't go on high seasons, right? If you don't want to hang out with the tourists, you don't go in the high seasons." And then so people started going in the shoulder seasons, but then that got busy because everybody
That's what I'm
everybody got
hearing.
the same
Everyone,
advice. There we go. Go in the shoulder
and
seasons. So now people are going in the off season at the same time. So now it's going to get to the point where all year round it's busy,
it's busy
right?
all year round. Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like especially Europe, I try to avoid. So in the summers, I try to not do anything that's super popular, like do the local stuff, do the
Yeah.
small towns, do things that no one really, it's not on anyone's radar. But
Yeah.
I feel like with Instagram now and social media, even the not so known places, everything's on everyone's radar now. So
Everything
people are,
everything has gotten
yes,
known. It's
yeah.
so there's a small Japanese bakery near us in the Japanese area of the suburbs here, and they were great, wonderful place, very authentic Japanese baked goods. And then all of a sudden, one day they were featured on TikTok, and now there's lines out the door, and you have to get there first thing in the morning if you want to buy anything. So it's like social media has kind of ruined a lot of places, don't you think?
Yeah, I think, and I think the charm of the reason why it was so nice was because it wasn't overrun with tourists. Because you could
Exactly.
you could enjoy it. But when there's the same thing, that's one of the reasons with Greece. I'm like, I really want to go, but all of the behind the scenes pictures I see is just tourists waiting in line for the perfect picture. And I
Oh
can't
yeah.
see myself doing that. I do want to see the place, but I don't see myself waiting in line.
Well,
So
I can
I need
recommend
to find
exactly.
like, yeah.
I can recommend exactly when to go if you don't want it.
Yeah.
So September, late September would be good. So
Okay.
don't go too far into October, but go into September or like April, May. So it's not going to be
Okay.
so hot. It's not going to be so hot, and the weather is still nice. And the downside of that, and this is, I don't know if this happens in the other Mediterranean countries as well, but a lot of times they don't open all year round. Right.
Yeah.
Shops and restaurants don't open year round. So if you get there in shoulder season, if you're too early in the shoulder season, then you're not really feeling the vibe of the place because people are just either just opening up or they're just closing down. And like just opening up is one thing because they're not as tired. Whereas
Yeah.
when they're closing down at the
Just
end of the year, everyone's beat, right? So they're super tired over tourist season. So shoulder seasons are great, but then you're still not getting, and this is I think the problem it is with traveling everywhere is that no matter when you go, you're not really getting the essence of what the place is really like because it's either tourist season where it's too busy and everything's crazy, or it's not tourist season and everyone's quiet. So it's like it's hard to travel to a place where you're getting the authentic feel of
it.
what it's like.
Yeah. Even with living somewhere, before the podcast, I was thinking about, oh, like especially as a nomad, if you're staying only for a couple of months, that doesn't give you the whole feel because you have to be there for the whole year. Like I
Exactly.
think, like thinking about like even Germany when I first moved, like Germans during like Christmas and New Year's, very different than Germans during some other time of the year. Or
Yeah,
when the sun is out in the summer, again, very different vibe than when it's winter and everyone's inside, right? So
exactly.
the entire vibe changes based on, and you kind of miss like certain things that you only see during that 1 week of the year when everything goes crazy.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
That's right. So I mean, the problem is, and then your visa requirements, especially in Schengen, you can only stay for 3 months, right? And then you have to leave. So you never really get, unless you move. I don't know. I'm assuming you have a visa or something like that that allows you to stay there. So you have to leave. You can't get the full year in a place because you have to leave the
yeah,
place to go somewhere else. And I mean, there's nomads who do fast travel. They just go a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then there's others who spend 2 or 3 months in places. But I think you're right. I think you have to be in a place for at least a year to understand what it's really like, right?
yeah,
Because you
to
have
see
to see
the
it through all the
change. Yeah,
seasons.
yeah.
And you've seen Germany through all the seasons now, and you're saying, oh, this is where I want to stay, or
For now, yes. I don't know. I think maybe once I get better at the language, integrating will be easier. Like right now, it's easier now that I understand the basics. The first few months were very difficult. Like I literally, like 2 months in, I found that there's a Costco in Paris, and I told my husband, I was like, that's my Christmas wish. I want to go to Costco. Like so, we drove, and this was my first time in Paris. Because can you imagine? I kept saying the reason I'm in Paris is not because of anything else, but because there's a Costco there. That was the closest Costco I could get to. So, yeah, we
I'm not going to
spent
see the
like,
Mona Lisa. I'm not going to walk down the steps where Da Vinci was, or not, Picasso was, or whatever.
yeah, those.
I'm just gonna go to
Yeah.
Costco.
So, like, obviously, we did
See,
a couple of tour
you do
cities,
like the
but
suburban lifestyle too.
I do. And it took me a long, like, now I'm better. I feel like Europe is very non-consumerist compared
Mm.
to the US, where you're constantly bombarded with things to buy and
Oh yeah,
ways to spend your money on. Whereas here, they aren't. It's not as much in your face. You're not seeing it all the time. So
yeah.
I feel like I've now gotten used to that. And I kind of like it. I like and we're still in a suburb here. Like we're not really in the middle of the city because
Oh, so you are in a
I
suburb. You're
still,
still getting the suburban life, but
meaning
so
a village, like in Germany, like the villages spread out. So because we wanted, like for our dog, we moved with the dog, and I wanted some place with a small yard, but we still have a huge field behind us, and like my dog is living, like she's living the best life. I think she adjusted quicker and faster than we did
oh
to
yeah,
like
for
to
sure.
Germany. So because she can now run free in the forest, and there's so many hiking trails, and I think that's the part I like the most. Like nature is so accessible, it doesn't matter where you are, you have somewhere to go for long walks, and there's, yeah, walkability in nature,
Well, there's places
absolutely.
like that in the States too. It just depends on where you live, but then those are usually more
Yeah,
expensive when you have, hiking trails and stuff like that around.
yeah.
So what? Tell me about some of the other places you've been.
So this, I think last year, and that's kind of why I slowed down this year. Last year, I was so excited that I did not have to apply for a Schengen visa. Like we are right here, we can go everywhere. And I think we went someplace almost every single month. So we went to 14 countries last year, which was
What,
a bit
inside of Europe?
inside, outside. We went back to the US a couple of times. And so it was a lot. Like I think
Wait a minute,
I
that's like
realized
more than one per
that.
month. That's a lot of countries.
Yeah, because we did a road trip over the summer with our dog through a few countries. So it was a lot. Like it was fun, but I think I realized I need some of the routine. Like I need to space it out better so I don't get, it all starts blurring in. Like especially in Europe, like every square church, they all start then looking the same, and you can't distinguish between
Yeah,
which church was it, or which square did I eat that pastry, and like it all starts blurring together if you
you
do
should
too
do a
many.
travel blog, like as you go through each town, and like here's a picture of this, just so you can remember it later, right?
Yeah. So yeah, so I think last year, I think the thing we liked the most was taking our dog everywhere. Like the first thing we did when we got here was get her an EU pet passport so she can like
Wait a minute,
travel.
that exists? You can
Yes,
get
yes. So which is funny. Like she has an EU
that's
passport
something.
before we do. Like it would take us years to get an EU passport, but she does. So
Hey, why are pets allowed to go through the fast track? That doesn't seem fair, right?
yeah, yeah.
Humans should go through the fast track
So
too.
yeah, a few vaccinations and she qualifies, and
Maybe
here I
maybe
am
she can
waiting.
vouch for you. She goes like, I'm a good citizen. I'm gonna vouch for my
Yeah.
parents. So what are the
So
so you just mostly are, and so how much time did you spend in each place when you were traveling?
not too long. Like I usually try and do at least a week, like 4 to 5 days. If it's like Malta is a short, like you can spend a few days and you still get a feel of the place. So
Yeah,
I
because
think
it's
we
small.
spend it's small 4 or 5 days, but otherwise, like wherever like my husband was able to do work trips, so we did Norway, and we went up for the Northern Lights because we'd done Oslo a few times before, so I really wanted to do the Northern Lights last year. So we went up to Tromso and we did that, and then
Did you see
Finland
them?
and Estonia. Yes. One day, like it was such bad weather, and it was rain and sleet and like frozen ice, and it was cloudy the entire time, and we had to drive into Finland to finally get to see it, but we did, and it was spectacular. It
Oh,
was
I'm
worth
glad you
it.
finally. I'm
Yeah,
glad you got to see it because I hear some people go and they wait and
it's
wait and wait and nothing happens.
no, yeah, and because we went to Alaska for that in the winter, and again, we barely glimpsed at it, but we didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you do like cold climates because it sounds like you're staying in all these cold climates. That's your new thing.
Yeah, give me a second, because do you mind if I just pull the shades down? The lights kind of
Yeah, sure, not a
uh
problem.
hold on.
That happens to me all the time because where my office is situated, I get the afternoon light and it's just really really bright.
Yeah, the
Okay.
sun was setting and it's been cloudy all day, so I assumed it's just gonna stay behind the clouds, but apparently not. Hold on. It's still not great. Give me one second. Much better.
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, so I guess we start asking you some of the questions for nomads is like so it sounds as if are you working as well or is your husband supporting?
No, so I have been in a kind of like transitional phase now. When we moved, I quit my job in the US, for us to pack up our house and move here. And I wanted to take like a sabbatical because I knew we were going to travel a lot. And yeah, so I'm kind of now, and then I started travel writing on Substack. And I have now been in that phase where I'm rethinking what I want to do.
Hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily want to go back to a career where I'm tied down. In the US, like I had 15 days leave, like 15 days of PTO, and I had to plan my entire travel
Oh
for
yeah,
the
when
year
you're working
around
for
those.
when you're working for a company, a lot of times you're trapped in that that two week vacation thing or three weeks of PTO sort of thing. And you can't work outside of that, right?
Yeah, and
Was it did they allow remote work where you were
no,
working?
so when I started during like at this role, so I'm in education, and so I've spent most of my career in education. So I again at a university, you kind of need to be there in person. When I started, it was over COVID in the US, and so
Really,
I
the
was
kids aren't
remote.
really there mentally, so the professor shouldn't have to be there either, right?
Yeah, like I was in program management, like I switched over from teaching. I used to teach before. So yeah, I started over COVID. It was great. I could be remote, and then it went to
Yeah.
hybrid, and
Oh
eventually they were gonna
no.
move. Like by the time I was leaving, they were moving to full time back in
Oh
the
no. That's
university.
terrible.
So
See, you could have done
yes,
you did your job remotely just fine, and
yeah,
they just pulled you in. So you could have been continuing to travel and work at the same
yeah.
time.
Absolutely. And I think that's another reason why I'm hesitating going back into like the workforce full time, because I feel like, oh, I'm going to again regret when I'm not able to go on a trip or not able to do the thing I want because of that. So I am trying to see if I can make something of travel writing, which it kind of combines two of my, like, I'm able to travel, have the flexibility, and like have a creative outlet. So yeah, that's what I've been focusing on these past few months, and seeing if that can be something.
Have you thought about getting a remote work job to
I
to
have been
to tide you
looking at
over?
it, like in especially, but the problem is in my field, I need German, which is another, like, in Germany, everything to do with universities, even if it's private, they all require at least a B1 intermediate
Oh,
level
so
of
if you
German.
wanted to get something locally, but could you work for it's like a company outside of the country remotely that wants somebody who can speak
I
English?
could, like, if, yeah, for an EU based company, I could, and I've been looking at roles. So it's this, I don't know, this thing, right, with your career, you don't want to gap too long, and you don't want to move over to a role that's too, that kind of breaks apart then your career trajectory.
Yeah.
And so it's been a difficult decision to kind of think about what I want to do. Do I want to extend my sabbatical longer? Do I want to focus on the writing? So yes, I've been doing freelance work for now, and then to try and get some income. But I am fortunate to not have to like. I am fortunate that my husband's able to support us, so I can take the time to focus on the creative part of it.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So what about the healthcare system in Germany? What's it like?
It's you can choose to have private health insurance, but it is and you also have public health insurance, but you're still paying for it, and it's a percentage of your income. So the more you earn, you pay more for the same. It's the same access to healthcare, but you just pay
Ah,
more if you earn more.
so
So
so unlike the states where you have to pay health insurance or your employer pays part of your health insurance, you have to pay your health insurance or you have to pay for
no, the
healthcare?
employer, I think it's subsidized by the government a bit, but I think it's to a large extent it's a percentage of income, right? So
Mm.
we essentially are paying almost as much as we did in the US for health insurance.
No, I heard it was cheaper.
Yeah, it is cheaper if you make less money. So if
So
you're
it depends on how much you make. If you make too much, then you could be paying as much as you were
you
paying here.
Yeah, and then even for that, you still have to like we're still paying extra because it doesn't cover dental. Like the basic dental is covered, but not really, your in the US we had every 6 months dental cleaning and things like that
Yeah,
that we would have. Like so you have to pay we pay extra for that. And
right.
it doesn't kick in for the first 6 months of the year. So you have to start paying it and then it only kicks in
Oh,
six
that's
months
interesting.
in because you need to have been paying into it. Same thing with even I think our annual physicals in the US that was covered here, it's dependent on your age. So I think if you're under 40, they pay for it, or it's covered every 2 years or every 3 years. Otherwise, you need to pay for it
Really?
additionally. So, but the thing is that it's so cheap, right? Like, even if you have to pay for it additionally, it's like 50 euros compared to how much ever it would have been in the US, which
Oh, yeah, it's a
is
lot more expensive. So,
insane.
so what about the quality of the care? Have you had a chance to use it for any reason?
No, thankfully we haven't. We just went and got our flu vaccines and registered somewhere, but we haven't really had we did go to the dentist, and I think the biggest issue is in smaller cities finding a doctor who can speak in English or communicate
Mm.
effectively. Like even at our dentist speaks English, but none of the staff do. So
Oh
you're
boy.
still struggling, like with the receptionist and with the dental hygienist. But so I think that's one big challenge. And also same thing with getting appointments, and it's a whole, you have to go find the doctor, find a time. I think it's similar in that sense. The only issue is you don't have to worry about the bill you're going to get at the end of it. Like in the
Yeah.
US, even with insurance, you would go in for something and you don't really know how much it's going to cost you, what they're not going to include, and what the bill's going to be like at the end of the visit. So
Yeah, exactly right.
yeah.
So it sounds like what I'm sensing a thread through here is that the language barrier is a problem like across the board for a lot of things, right?
I especially in a place like where Germany, where the language is so integrated, because anything like you want to call a hotline number to complain about your telephone service or internet service.
Yeah.
You can't get to the operator because you can't understand what the options are on the phone because they're all in German. And so,
Yeah, you can't press one for English because there is
there
no
is
press
no
one for
press one.
English.
Yep. There is no press one for English. So I think if you're in a bigger city like Berlin or Frankfurt, it's still manageable. Most people, it's more international, so most people speak English. But otherwise, in smaller towns, it can be a challenge. Yeah.
See, that's another reason why you should go to Greece because of all the European countries, there's more Greeks who know how to speak English than any other country. So the percentage of people who speak English is about 60%. So
Oh wow.
60% of
Okay.
Greeks can speak English, but I think in most other European countries it's like 20, 30%. So there's a much lower number of people who speak English.
Yeah.
So it's actually
Yeah.
it's really interesting how different it is because I've been to all these different European countries, and in Greece, most people I speak Greek though, so I mean that's I can get past that, but most people do speak English. Like they'll revert to English if you can't if
Oh, if
you're
you're
struggling.
struggling. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the funny thing is Germans do learn English in school, so most of them
Yeah, they just
they technically
don't
do know
choose
how
to.
to speak. Yeah, so even if you're speaking really bad German, I think they
Yeah.
think that their English is worse, even though it isn't. Like the English is
Yeah.
perfectly fine, but then they just will
No,
not
it's the
speak.
same.
Yeah,
It's the same everywhere. I mean, when I was
yeah,
in Japan, it was the same thing. It's like they teach English in Japan, but I think they're all embarrassed because they think their English is bad when it's actually not too bad at all. You can completely
yeah.
understand it. So I think that's what ends up happening with a lot of people is that they feel like when you try to speak a different language and you feel like you're not doing a good job of it.
Yeah. And
So
I think
that's why.
that's the bigger thing with integration in a place that doesn't speak, where it isn't your first language or you don't speak the language. I still feel like until I learn to speak German, not fluently, but at least enough that I can convey my point across, there's still going to be a slight barrier, right? Like you're
Yeah.
still on edge when you're outside, like, oh my God, what if like if they say a word that you don't completely understand, your brain freezes and you need to think about what the context is, what they're talking about. So yeah.
So are you using Google Translate or any other tools to help you with that translation?
Yeah, when we first moved, yes, but it was even grocery stores, right? Like the first month, I had to literally translate every single, to make sure I was buying the right milk or buying, cream and not something else. But now I'm at a point where I can get my point across. I can speak to someone on the phone. I'm at least at that stage, so I don't need to use Google Translate
Oh, that's good. How
all the
long did
time.
it take?
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get to that point?
A year, like about at least 6 months of active learning. Like I've been doing it the last 4 months and then a couple of months before. So yeah, at least 6 months of active learning.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not a easy language to learn, is it? Even though there's a lot of similarities to English.
Yeah, it's not like the words are okay, but I think in English, I don't know if that's the same thing in Greek, but like every word has a gender, and so it's the grammar part. Like it's
Oh
extremely
yeah.
complicated grammar rules, and
Yeah.
then the gender and remembering the gender
Yeah.
for each word, and then the whole sentence changes. So
Same.
I feel, yeah,
But in Greece, it's actually more complicated because it's a completely different alphabet too. So you look at the
yeah,
alphabets and I mean, it's not as complicated as say some of the Asian languages, but it's still
that's
difficult
true.
for people to pick up. So you say you have a dog. You traveling with your pet. Like any issues coming with traveling with him? Her?
No, actually not too bad. Like just bringing her here was the challenge. Like going through the USDA, like all of her vetting there and getting all the paperwork done. And she was pretty great. The flight over, we took the direct flight. That was I think 8 or 9 hours. So that's all she had to spend in the crate. But once she was here, she was perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And you travel with her
And
all the time?
not in flights because she is a medium size, like she is a husky mix, so she is fairly large. But we've done a few road trips, and it's once you have the pet passport, it's honestly very easy. They don't even check. Like I don't think I've ever once had to like take it out or show it to anyone, but it's there. It's there if anyone asks. And so yeah, we did last summer. We drove down from Germany to Austria to Slovenia and Croatia and all the way back. And so that was great. And obviously, I planned it around her. So we didn't go to any big cities or places where there would be too many crowds, but more nature. And it was great. Yeah. And we did spring last year. We drove to Amsterdam. And so we did the Keukenhof and the tulip fields over
Nice.
spring. And that was nice. Yeah.
So I like how the fact is that you do things she likes instead of doing
Yeah.
what you like.
When we take her along, it's kind of tailored to what she can enjoy. So Croatia was great for dogs. There's like tons of dog beaches all through the coast, like the Istrian coast. So every beach there will be a section cordoned off for dogs, which was great. There was a dog cafe where they had dog ice cream and dog beer. So
Wow.
I think
Wait,
it
dog
was great.
beer?
Yeah.
Did you say dog
Yeah.
beer?
Yes.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as dog
I,
beer.
I didn't either until I got to Croatia. I'd seen dog ice cream before, but there was a whole range of a dog menu. Yeah.
That is crazy. I've never heard of any of that. That's nuts. So, when all the traveling that you've done, have you ever had issues with safety, like concern about crime and stuff like that happening?
Not so much. I have been like there are a few places that I am very wary of, pickpocketers, especially in Europe. I think you kind of need to be on
Mm,
edge around like if you're going during the peak season. So Italy and Spain and things like that, you kind of need to be aware because there are pickpocketers. Thankfully, we haven't had any run-ins with them, so that's
yes.
been good. So yeah, I'm not
But what do you
not
do? You
looking
just
to change
just
that.
just like
Just
keep an eye out, like be very careful when you're in those types of situations, or
I
like,
think so. Like, have I usually just carry a sling bag, so I'm not having anything that's open. Like, we had someone even warn my husband because he would carry a backpack and put sometimes his phone in the back pocket. I've had
oh no, you
someone
don't do that.
tell me, don't, yeah, I've had someone tell me, don't put your phone in the back pocket because, it could be a
Yeah,
problem. And even the shop vendors where was it, in Florence told him, okay, you need to stop putting your wallet in the back pocket, so like in
yeah.
your backpack, so visibly someone is going to come and
Oh
try
yeah.
their
Well,
luck.
and
So yeah,
backpacks are really dangerous like that, unless you have one of those ones that's a special one with locks and stuff like that, because those are so
yeah,
easy to open, right? You can't even
and you
tell.
won't even realize it if you're in a busy metro, like if you're going
Yeah,
somewhere, you won't. Yeah,
yeah, and anything you have could just be whoop, gone. Whatever's
yeah,
back
no.
there. You definitely don't want to put your wallet or your phone back there because or especially or your passport. That would be the worst. Have you ever had it?
Yeah, that's no, thank God. I don't even want to think about what that's going to be like, especially with like with the Indian consulate. Like, I don't even want to, yeah, I know it's going to be a struggle. So,
So you're still an Indian citizen, or were you American citizen, or
yes, yeah.
so you're still an Indian
No,
citizen?
it would have not for lack of trying, but it would have taken us another, I think, 2 decades to get American citizenship. So, which is another reason why I'm happy staying in Germany a little longer because I think that will get us to another citizenship faster
Oh,
than the
so you're thinking
US.
about getting your German citizenship then?
If we're here long enough, like if nothing else changes, yes, absolutely.
Wow. So well, then that gets you all over the EU easily.
I think that's the thing, Chris. Like a lot of even on Substack when I like read other travel writers, I think it's the misconception is like, oh, everyone can travel. Like passport privilege is a real thing. For me, if I think about traveling, I can't just decide last minute that, oh, I'm gonna go here because it takes like months of planning, applying for visas, getting the appointment, and
Well, you still need to do
paying.
that?
I need, oh, not now for EU, but for other countries, yeah. So my husband had to go to China on a work trip and he had to book
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, for sure,
appointment
for
and do all
sure.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, which was one of the reasons when we were in the US, like EU travel was always like had to be planned 6 months ahead because you couldn't, you had to book a Schengen visa. I know people working in Wall Street who were denied like a Schengen visa. I was like, what's the chance that what do you think they're going to do? Like, leave their high paying job on
Yeah,
Wall Street and
exactly.
go, like, why are you denying them the visa? But that happens, right? So,
Yeah, it's bizarre. I think it depends on the person who's stamping the passports. Like, am I having a bad day? Ah, I'm going to
ex-
deny a few people, right?
yeah, and so traveling has it's an additional, the difficulty involved when you don't have a passport that's easy to travel with. So, like with the Indian passport, almost everywhere you have to plan in advance. You have to book in. You have to get an appointment at the embassy. You have to. Usually, we've had to when we used to live in Ohio. We would have to travel to DC or New York every single time because
Mm.
most of the embassies were there. So that involved a separate trip. Um, so yeah, so
Well, you
I
got more
I'm
travel in
look
then. You got some more travel in.
yeah, so I really am looking forward to maybe getting another passport that's stronger, so that's easier to travel. Even when you think about like nomads going everywhere, it's much more difficult when you're on a passport that doesn't
Yeah.
let you travel everywhere and sometimes for limited days. So yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I should whip out my Canadian passport just so it makes it easier for me to go because everybody loves Canada, right? Nobody has an
Yeah,
issue with
yeah.
Canada. So if you were going
Yeah.
to give advice to somebody who's just about wanted to start this life, what would be your best advice?
I think especially if like a completely like I'm not a full-time nomad, so I feel like I don't think I'm there yet at this point of my life where I can see myself traveling full time 24/7 nonstop. But I think you need to be able to hold your routines. Like that's one thing. That's the big thing I struggled with last year is maintaining routines. When I travel, like everything goes out the door. Like I might walk everywhere, but I'm eating everything that I see. And so all of my health routines, all of my that all goes out the door. So I think especially for someone traveling full time to be able to find that balance to maintain your routines, and I think that's important. Also, as much as you research a place, nothing's going to prepare you until you really go there. I thought I was prepared. I read all the Reddit posts I could find and like living in Germany, but only when you actually move there do you come across certain things, deal with the issues that you're going to. So
Oh yeah,
I don't think
absolutely.
anything's going to prepare you for that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel as much as you like plan, you can't really plan for everything, and so just be open to open to the complications and uh open to the problems. I think that's all. It's a story, it's an experience, and it gives you another perspective.
Yeah, and you can't really be a stickler. You have to be open-minded to things changing all the time because they do, right? I mean, you can set up whatever plan you want, but it may not necessarily work out the way you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I am like a type A planner usually, and I need to have everything, planned. I need to know what could the possible options be. And I'm learning to let go. Like this past year, when like because especially when you travel so much, you can't possibly spend as much time planning. So you have to just learn to let go and take it as it comes. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be easygoing about it. This is great. So you're going to be do your so if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So I currently am on Substack. It's Jackie of All Travels, Jackie with a Y.
Hmm.
And it's the same handle on Instagram too. So you can reach out to me, DM me on Instagram or on Substack. I should hopefully have a website soon. So,
Why don't you just use
but
the
I'm putting
Substack
up.
as your website? That's what I do.
I do. I have the Substack website, but I want to create another one too eventually. Yeah, all steps in the process.
What are you going to do on the other website?
I'm hoping, like, I want to see if I like can use some of my travel planning, brain to create like either guide people who want to go on certain trips or want me to plan. I've been, AI is great, but it only does so much. Like you can ask ChatGPT to create an itinerary, and I've done that, but it's never
No, it's
foolproof.
terrible. I asked it
It's
to do
yeah.
last time we went to London, I asked it to do itinerary, and I said, I want you to make sure to put places that are close together. So when I'm traveling, here's where I'm staying, and I want to go to this area, and I want to do a whole bunch of things in this area all at once or on the same day. And it went lit.
Yep.
It was
It's
terrible. I had
it
to
is,
redo
and
the
it
whole
like
thing myself.
yeah, I still like even if I do abroad, I have to go and read the blogs and read the other things and plan out what I want to do.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's a lot more
So
work
I'm
than people think.
hoping it is. So, I'm hoping to maybe create something with that. So I can kind of use that brain of mine that likes to plan things and likes to create itineraries. I've been sharing all of my itineraries for years with friends. So yeah, maybe monetize some of that.
I love it. I love it. So I'll put all the links
Yeah.
in the show notes so people can go directly to it. So thank you so much. This has been great.
This was great.
Enjoy.
Thanks, Chris.
Talk to you
Yeah.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained. I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive, I thrive.